Item 12 then, motion put forward by Cllr Peacock and seconded by Cllr Elvidge, that this council fully supports the Track Fitness Boxing Club at its Burden Road site in its aims to provide fitness activities to all residents, not only on the Swinemoor Estate but also in Beverley through its boxing and other fitness classes.
Yes,
Cllr Peacock.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I brought this motion before today's full council as I believe that the Track Fitness Boxing Club on the Swinemoor Estate is deserving of receiving the backing and support of all members of this council. This is a charitable organisation that has risen from the grassroots of the Beverley community and has overcome many hurdles put in its path to achieve the success it enjoys today. What is particularly saddening is the opposition and undeserved criticism it has received from sections of the community who've stopped at nothing to use every means at their disposal to bring the Track and Fitness Boxing Club into disrepute. From vexatious lobbying of East Riding of Yorkshire Council offices, hauling councillors up before Standards Committee, and founded allegations in the press, and scurrilous remarks on closed media sites. This has caused damage to what is in Beverley the only youth-based group organised by local Beverley people for a particular deserving area of Beverley, namely the Swinemoor Estate. If it was not for the boxing club, the Burden Road site, which has caused so much angst in the press, would have gone. It would not have survived. And it is because of the boxing club going into that site that we now have as a future community hub the Burden Road site. This council wants to promote youth provision in Beverley, and it can do no better than throw its wholehearted weight and support behind the Track and Fitness Boxing Club. Please unanimously support this motion.
Seconded, Cllr Elvidge.
Seconded.
Anybody like to speak? Councillor Pearson.
Well, I'd like for a start, I'd like a recorded vote on this, if that's all right, Chairman, because I think we all ought to seem to be supporting what is, in my opinion, a successful youth organisation, unlike some we've had in the past. They only cost us money and done very little. So I would say that Bill Dodgson and his friends down at the centre have done a superb job. They've got youth in there, some of the young people in there who were seriously running off the rails, and now they're back on the rails and doing boxing or other sporting activities at the youth centre. We talk a lot about supporting youth. We talk a lot about throwing cash at it. But Phil Dodds have done it with his with help from his, what's the other lad who's down there? That dark lad, I forget his name. But with help from his friends, he's done it starting from scratch with next to nought. And here he is running a very successful organisation, not just for boxing, but boxing of all ages and fitness classes, and really a social gathering. People go there just to have a chat with other people, and that's got to be good. And I've seen, as you know, I'm not one of these technical people who messes about that evil stuff called Facebook or anything like that. I don't associate with that. But I've seen some of the things that have been written on Facebook about Phil and other councillors that have supported him, and I was absolutely appalled. I couldn't believe anybody could be so damned evil in the way they slated Phil Dodgson and I think Kerry Harold got a first amount of stick from them. And these people ought to be thoroughly ashamed of themselves. They really ought. And if any of you see these things, what you ought to be doing is defending these people rather than attacking them. I don't know. I have no idea what the motive of these people are. Whether it's just they're evil by nature or what the hell. I really don't know. But we ought to be seen here and now as Beverley Town Council to fully support Phil Dodson and the Boxing and Fitness Club, and I would support that, and I would move
It's been seconded. It's been seconded.
Yes, I will now go
Recorded vote.
That's it, a recorded vote.
Right.
Anybody else? Councillor.
I support the boxing club. I think it does great work, but I don't think the council should support it. That's my view. I believe that we're going into territory that is questionable. I think the whole thing about this motion is questionable. Its reasoning, the speech that was given by the mover is all questionable, Mr. Mayor. And I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. No doubt about it. Something is going on with that boxing club in Baden Road Youth Centre, and I'm not going to stand by in this meeting and see it happen, because I aren't like that. I don't just stand by, because I think the whole thing stinks. And it's questionable as why do we have to support one boxing club? Why can't we support football clubs, cricket club, tennis club, scouts, guides, beavers, cubs? Why can't we support all of them? Why do we have to support one boxing club? Does great work. I've got nothing about that. Nothing, no grudge about that. It does great work in the community, and Phil's done a great job in setting it up. But why do we, as a town council, have to support it? We've already supported it through grants before in the past. You know, we've given everything that we can do. But to support it, in saying that this town council fully supports the boxing club, why do we not support all groups in Beverley? So I'd like to amend the proposal, and I would like to see all groups in Beverley given the support of the town council. So this town council supports all activities, groups, voluntary groups in the town, in their work in revitalising the community, bringing groups together in the name of sport and friendship, and to make people happy.
Is there a seconder for that amendment?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Beckman. Councillor Jack, are you going to speak on the amendment? Or?
No, I'm going to. I just want to say I'm slightly worried about what's been said there, because I think the reason the proposal for support has come forward is because of the way it's been pilloried round and about. If the cricket club or the rugby club or any other club have been pilloried in the press and whatever, like the boxing club has been, I would hope that we would rally to their support and make it a very specific proposal. The other thing that worries me is that Tom's there, by his own admission, doesn't know what's going on. He says, I don't know what's going on, but it stinks. You can't say something stinks unless you can give a reason why it stinks and whatever. And I'm afraid, Tom, you know, it was a very
pretty good idea.
Well, say it. Either say it or shut up. That's the top and bottom of it. You cannot just say allegation. An angus allegation.
Can I call order, please? There's no need to have a slanging match across the table. What I would like to see happen is this motion, this debate deferred, because the town clerk, I spoke to the town clerk this afternoon, and she, like me, doesn't know what's happened officially. It's not our baby, it's not our building, but here we are as a town council voting on something that we don't know. There's been allegations made, whether they're true or not, I don't know, and the town clerk doesn't know. So I would like to see, personally, this motion be deferred pending. Well, it's alright you were shaking your head, Cllr Peacock, right? But I got pulled up the other week. What the hell's going on at Burden Road? It's closed to other user groups because of the boxing ring being there. Other user groups cannot use that building for health and safety reasons. And how come Alan Menzies...
If the boxing club wasn't there, there would be no Burden Road.
Well, can I just say to you, Cllr Peacock, here's one for you all then. How come Alan Menzies didn't know a thing about the users being there and not charged rent until it was brought to his attention, and then they got the users round the table, and a senior officer at County Hall got his knuckles rapped for letting a building that he should not have let because he's not a part of the estate.
Right. I've also spoken to Alan Menzies and got bell book and candle.
Yes.
It's not that rent could not be charged us under the conditions which the place was being administered. They could not charge rent, but what was charged was administrative costs. So they paid all the going administrative costs. They have always been paying something towards the ongoing costs of that building. Now it's under a different not ownership, but it's under a different I don't know what the word is now.
Leasing, is it?
Yeah, so basically, they can now charge rent to charitable organisations. But from what I can gather, it's still roughly the same amount of money, because you don't go making profits out of charitable organisations. So what will be charged as a rent will cover costs. But they have always been paying money. But it could not be called rent, because at the time, rent could not be charged. So they paid administrative costs that the council wanted. And alright, it was a cock-up, but not by the boxing club.
No.
The boxing club have never been, suddenly seems the boxing club, what they're doing stinks. No, the boxing club did what they were asked of them. They paid money. They were upfront and honest. And to say that something stinks on that front is really quite dreadful. I find that wholly objectionable.
Yeah. Well, Cllr Peacock.
Can I retract my comments?
You certainly can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's done now. That's it.
It's done now. He's retracted his comments. Right. I would still like to see this matter deferred pending a letter to whoever it is at County Hall, Alan Menzies, by the town clerk to get chapter and verse from Alan Menzies before this town council commits itself to this motion.
Put it to the vote, Chairman. Who put it to the vote?
Do we have that as an amendment or what? Go with that.
I second the proposal. I second the proposal.
Been seconded.
Which proposal?
That is deferred until we get more information.
Yeah.
I retract my amendment. Second the Mayor's proposal. Let's go for a vote on that proposal, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Chairman, can I just...
Councillor Pearson, you've already spoke once. You have not got a right to reply.
I just put my hand up to speak.
Yeah.
Are you saying I can't speak?
Well, go on then.
Thank you.
Break the rules.
Yeah, I do know the rules. Yeah, I've been around a long time.
Yeah.
What we are saying here, as a group of people, is that we support the boxing and sports club. Now, we're not saying give them some money, we're not saying throw money at them, we're saying we support their efforts. What they're doing is great. You know, we've been fanning about talking about youth and how we should be supporting youth, and here we are kicking it in the teeth. We should really not assume that they want money. They don't. They do it very well on their own. Let us offer our support, because what I hear, and I know you can withdraw, but you picked it up, Chairman, with respect. You said, what's going on there? I do not know. They're not paying rent. I've talked to our members. These are all rumours. And I think what we can do here today is scotch them by saying, we support the boxing club.
Right, Councillor Pearson, you've just admitted it's all rumours, and I've said, as chairman of this council, that I propose an amendment that the town clerk write to East Riding, who are the owners of the building, to get chapter and verse of what that building is being used for. I think this town council needs to know before we commit ourselves to such a motion. Is it to be used as a track fitness and boxing club, or, as I heard somebody say earlier on, I don't know who it was, but it was a member from that end of the table, that it's a community centre? What is it?
No,
is it
I said it, Chairman. I said,
well, is it a community facility?
People go there for a chat, more or less as a community,
I don't know that. I'd like to know further. And I think we owe it to the public, before we make a decision, that this item be deferred till a letter goes from the town clerk to Alan Menzies, and she gets a response, and then brings it back to a future meeting, and then we can agree on support or not support. But we need that information before we can decide on this motion. Because this town council is committing itself to something which may or may not be illegal. I don't know until we get the information.
There's another word.
All right. Well, you shake your head.
Leave it, Ryan.
In some
Can I
ways,
go to the vote then?
sorry, I just say, I just wanted to pass the comment that I think in some ways, if the vote isn't unanimous and wholehearted, it's rather defeating the point of the vote in some ways. If it's all it's going to do is castigate aspersions on it. It needs to be a wholehearted, fully backed endorsement, not a sort of fudged and a sort of botched sort of support. It wants wholehearted support or not really. You know, we need to be. If it's less than wholehearted,
Well,
the point of doing it is rather defeated.
Councillor Jack, you're absolutely right, and I see and I hear what you're saying, but we won't get that tonight because I've moved an amendment and that we need clarification from East Riding before this town council commits itself. And once that clarification comes, then it's open for discussion at full council. The vote will be taken, and either they'll support it or they won't, pending the information that comes from East Riding. That's all I'm saying. You all signed up to the 1972 Local Government Act, and you know it commits you to do things legally.
Well, there's nothing legal about this motion, Chairman.
Well,
How should it is?
the clerk has not received clarification from East Riding.
The
As to
clerk
what
has
the
probably
bill-
not asked for it.
Well, I haven't asked for anything,
No.
not yet, because we were talking about that
Mr. Mayor.
tonight, weren't you?
Yeah.
Can I say something? I'm sure Phil's doing a good job.
Yes.
Knowing Phil, he wouldn't be doing any other. But I feel, as an individual, that I don't know enough about what's going on, to fully endorse the motion.
Yeah.
I'm sure, well, I'm pretty sure once we get it clarified that we'll all be for it. But I think you're right, and I think we do need clarification. And yeah, I'll endorse what the Mayor said.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, actually, I think the voice of reason from Duncan there before, which is this: if you're going to endorse someone, and do it as unanimously as Dominic had said previously.
Right.
I think I'm surprised how elevated the emotions are about this. Actually, I mean, we're talking about a boxing club.
Yeah.
You know, it's a relatively modest kind of youth service, one of many, hopefully, that we can try and encourage as a town council. That's I think everybody's aligned behind that. It's great to have that kind of backing. But I think there just needs to be a clearing of the air. There's several issues here that need to be resolved. What is the function and purpose of Burdon Road? What is the prospects for community centres generally within or potential sites for community centres generally within Beverley? and what just take a deep breath and actually have a look at this and kind of move away from the emotive stuff and trying to be a little bit more objective about it.
Your latter bit, Rob, can come after we've got, if we do go to get information from Alan Menzies, that can come later. The point I propose tonight is that my amendment is that this item, this motion, be deferred pending further more information via the clerk from East Riding Council. I'm going to move to the vote now. All those in favour of my amendment, please show.
Am I doing this as a recorded vote?
Yes, recorded vote.
Alright, so for, I've got Peter Estelle, Duncan Jack, Alan Willis, Tom Estelle, Tom Britner. Against?
Those against?
Right, so I've got 4 against.
Abstentions? So that now becomes a substantive motion. All those in favour of the substantive motion, please show.
Sorry.
It now becomes a substantive motion, so you've got to vote on it again as the motion.
Not we're just supposed to amend.
I see no point in staying, Chairman.
Okay.
You just sold Phil Dobbs just down the river.
Thank you very much.